and Mo, Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo. They tell you what they know.
Do it for Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo. Hey, do it for Deuce and Mo. When it comes to the Kings, that's my favorite show. Do it for Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo. Hey, do it for Deuce and Mo. When it comes to the Kings, big hopes and dreams as we cover our kings. Never cover the kingdom, but we loving our kings. And we covered your prayers as we doing our thing. Big Deuce with the par, Lil Mo on the screen. Solo or together, still do it for team. Never switch up for $1 or revenue stream. So we always got each other, balance out the beam. Deuce and Mo, and that's the end of the theme song. Do it for Deuce and Mo.
We are live!
Do it for Deuce and Mo.
How we doing tonight, Kings fans? Juice Mason in Sacramento, Morgan Reagan at the NBC Sports California studios in downtown San Francisco. Why they do a Kings postgame show, there no one knows. How we doing, everybody?
What up, Deuce? Hey, Morgan.
Hi, Morgan. Yeah, gotta unmute yourself. Welcome to the show. How you doing?
Someone's salty.
I am salty. I am salty tonight. I am feeling very salty tonight. Morgan, I am so sick of playing the Warriors. I'm so sick of it. It's like we know what the script's going to be at some of the end of these games, it seems
every time.
Dude, Morgan, you know what's even more irritating about it?
Tell me.
I was like, oh, when the Kings play the Warriors again? This month? No. Morgan.
I'm not going. I'm not going.
The Kings play the Warriors this month, November 28th in Sacramento. Like,
I'm calling in sick.
The league couldn't be like, hey, you know what? It's a big matchup. Let's spread them out a little bit. We'll do one October, December, January, February after the trade deadline. No, we're gonna play 3 of the matchups before December. It's like, ugh.
And it's just like you said, it's the same story every time. Even though I'm not gonna lie, from an entertainment standpoint, I was about to say it's fun. It's entertaining. I appreciate the type of game we get every time, whether it's this high-powered offense or a lower scoring game. I just don't like the end of the story. I want the book written differently. Whoever the shit is writing the book needs to change the end of the story.
Maybe this is the pain we're all supposed to experience, you know? Like, this is all part of the journey. Like, the pain of the playoffs, the pain, and then the sweet ending is playoff time when you beat them or something like that. You know what I mean? You know what's crazy about the matchups too? And I know we're going to talk about this on the podcast. We got to stop wasting time. I know you're in San Francisco and have to get back to Sacramento. But I do want to say a couple of things. Appreciate you guys who are here for being here. Make sure to hit the thumbs up button. Make sure you're subscribed. Before we even start the podcast, I want to give you guys some major love. Our YouTube views this playoff time when you beat Morgan. What? I'm hearing myself back. Did you just
That
play?
was my bad. That was my bad.
I was just trying to give them some love and you interrupted.
No,
You
sorry.
son of a. Anyway, we just completed our biggest month ever on YouTube. Biggest month ever, like by far. Like, we're talking about smashed what we did in April during the playoff run. Our audio numbers smashed what we did during the playoff run. So before we get started, we just want to say thank you to all of you guys. That's the one win tonight, is you guys helping us in a big way. So we appreciate you guys.
Honestly,
yes.
Can't say thank you enough to everyone taking the time to spend time with us and hang out with us. There's been so many amazing comments about whether people are going through tough times or people are just having fun or couples are enjoying watching this show after a game together. All the love is amazing. Seeing all the numbers are amazing. Just thank you for enjoying this and being here with us.
I'm feeling it tonight. I'm just gonna be honest. I'm feeling it tonight.
Oh, come on. Like, we just said something positive.
I know. I'm just this. I'm so sick of the Warriors,
Start the
Morgan.
podcast.
All right, let's do it. Deuce and Mo, we're coming down in 3, 2, 1. Morgan, you may not hear the music. Just trust me. Hit the music. Oh, that's 3, 2, 1. Hit the music, dude.
Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo. They tell you what they know. Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo. The podcast that you know.
Hey, welcome into the Deuce and Mo podcast, recording this on a Wednesday night after another Kings-Warriors matchup, this time in San Francisco. No De'Aaron Fox tonight, and the Kings battled. They had the lead. In fact, the Kings felt like maybe they won it when Sabonis banked in a mid-range jumper to give the Kings the lead. But of course, it wasn't going to be that easy. Klay Thompson buries what proved to be the game winner with 0.2 of a second left, and the Warriors beat the Kings tonight 102-100. Each and every one of our podcasts presented by our friends over at Northwest Exteriors. Check out their website, northwestexteriors.com. I'm Deuce Mason. That's Morgan Reagan. She is in San Francisco tonight after hosting Kings pre- and post-game live at the NBC Sports California studios in San Francisco with Mike Bibby, who made his debut as a Kings broadcaster. Hi, Morgan. How are you?
Hi, Deuce. I'm so good. It would have been way more fun to end this night with Mike Bibby on a win. But we had so much fun. It was so fun working with him. He's just such a happy, sweet dude. And
How was he?
and-
How do you do? I know he's
Oh,
nervous. We talked to him a couple weeks ago, and I remember he was very nervous.
yeah, and he said he was nervous. I'm just laughing. I'm like, you didn't even seem nervous. You know what I mean? It's and just understanding each other and the cadences. I think we had fun together, and I'm kind of in this era of be you, even if it's weird, or annoying or anything, because I think I'm all of those things, which is totally fine. But I watch the game how I would watch the game at home, except I am appropriately dressed. At home, I look like
You watch the games naked at home? What do you mean appropriately dressed? What do? You just watch?
no, I don't look like I should be out in public. I don't look like I should
Okay.
be seen. You know what I mean? Like that, and I'm eating food and it gets on me kind of thing at home. Where in studio, the only thing that I'm doing differently is not looking like that. But I'm yelling at the TV and doing what I need to do. And tonight I was really into this game. I wanted it so bad, and I hate that feeling of wanting it so bad.
Yeah, it's a frustrating one. I know we were just talking before the podcast started about just how annoyed we are with the Kings playing the Warriors so often.
Oh my God.
Again, I look at the schedule after tonight going, oh, when's the next time? We probably don't see them for a couple months. No. In fact, they see them this month in Sacramento, November 28th. I think it's a TNT game. Lee, you couldn't have just spread these games out a little bit.
No.
I'm cool with opening week. I would have been cool with a little Christmas Day one, maybe January, February. No, we're going to go pack them all in. 3 of the matchups before December is insane to me. Anyway, I think the first thing I want to start with tonight, Morgan, the Kings played this game without De'Aaron Fox. Davion Mitchell got the start. The one thing I really do admire about these Kings-Warriors matchups before we take a deep dive into the game, you say people can say it's not a rivalry. Maybe the Warriors don't think it is. These two teams play their asses off when they go head to head.
Yep.
We saw close preseason games. One went to overtime. Another one was a Steph Curry game winner that felt like, oh, this had some meaning to it, some juice to it, especially that last one in San Francisco. You had opening night, right? And then tonight, these teams play hard. It felt like a playoff game. And I admire that about both teams, that here we are this early into the season, and these two teams are playing their asses off. I appreciate that just as a basketball fan.
I'm with you. And I think that's why there's this little part of me after a Kings loss to the Warriors again, that I'm not, it's almost like I'm not heartbroken. I'm almost, what's that? Like, there's that line that I love. It's better to feel pain than nothing at all. I used to say that. I used to say that a lot, especially when we were feeling a lot of pain with the Kings losses. But I think sometimes what it really just means is that you care. And other times, I think because there's something to care about. And with this situation and with this team and where it's going, there's something to care about. And the pain that you're feeling is like, oh, I am having fun and enjoying these situations. So it hurts a lot when they're losing to a team like the Warriors again, and in this fashion.
I should also note, I felt like the officials called it like a playoff game, by the way. I mean, the physicality in this game, and I'm not saying it was bad. They did miss some calls that, Draymond found the shit out of Sabonis. But, that's not why the Kings lost. I'm not doing that game. It was just a very physical game.
It was a very physical game. And I'm so with you. Like, I am fine with that type of physicality. But when someone like Draymond or Chris Paul gets away with that shit, it's one of those things where it's almost like they become stronger mentally, physically, and they're like, I can get away with anything. And then the team feels the same kind of empowerment. And it's just not good for anyone except the Warriors. So yeah, the physicality was there, but like you said, everyone cared in tonight's game.
Just an unbelievable finish to this game. Just crazy. And, if I would have told you tonight, the Kings, you love when I play this game. If I would have told you that the Kings would be playing without De'Aaron Fox, that they would finish with 101 points, and they'd shoot just under 41% from the field and 11 of 35 from three, you would have said the Kings lost by 20 to 25 points.
Correct.
They had the lead until Klay Thompson shot with 0.2 of a second to go. I think first things first, I do want to get to the end of the game too. The effort tonight was fantastic by Sacramento. If they could play this type of defense with that type of engagement, the rotations, there were very few breakdowns, and some of them were kind of costly late. A couple of backdoor layups late from Draymond, one from Klay. They had one situation where Keegan, picked up Steph full court, an easy back screen, and then Steph took off, and there's mismatches everywhere. He scored easily. But for the most part, Sacramento's defensive engagement was outstanding. They did a great job on Steph. You know what I mean? Like, to see what they did against Steph, and they tasked Keegan with getting the opportunity. Keegan had a couple of nice moments on him for sure, a couple of steals. He played physical, stayed with him. They threw some double teams at him, some traps. They tried to get the ball out of his hands. Steph had 21 points. He only took 15 shots. I thought they did a nice job on Steph Curry in this game. Like, he did not torch them. They wanted other guys to beat them, and I thought the Kings did a really nice job on him.
Yes, thank you, Deuce. And let's break that down right now, because that's exactly. And
are you saying that because I just talked for 2 minutes about like 18 different things?
Thank you. And I was like, can we collaborate? Is this a team pod? You're exactly right. With Steph Curry, I kept making. It wasn't even a joke. It was just truly how I felt on the postgame show. I kept saying 21 points, haha, only 21 points, because it just felt good not to see him have a 40 piece on the Kings or above. So that was good. Now let's talk about why that worked on Steph Curry. And this is what I'll start with. I asked Mike Bibby in the beginning of the game. I've asked so many people, how do you stop Steph Curry? How do you slow down Steph Curry? And people are like, yes, exactly. Good luck. Try to slow him down as much as you can. I thought the Kings slowing him down was such a great game plan. And I go, isn't that everyone's game plan? No, but they executed their game plan. And their game plan of that wasn't just having Davion on Steph Curry.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited to talk about this, because I even saw someone on Twitter being like, I don't like that it was Keegan and other people on Steph. Why wasn't it Davion the whole time? And I go, wait, why do you care if it worked?
I think, and that's this guy named Benny on Twitter, who he's super passionate, and he hits me up. He's had that question a little bit too, and it's a fair point, because Mike Brown said the other day at practice, like, Davion Mitchell's superpower is his on-ball defense. Well, you would think like that's who you want on the ball, but to be honest, Davion sometimes is not great as an off-ball defender. We've talked to him about this. You know, Davion's admitted that to us. And no perfect example than the final play of the game. And I know I'm jumping around here, but let's just talk about the final play. Okay. Davion, when you go back and watch that final play, when Klay gets the ball, Davion hesitates. He's just a step slow. Klay gets the ball, and then he moves up. And if Davion was just engaged from the start, it would have prevented Klay from making that first move. Maybe Davion's able to bump him a little bit, and then, you know, we're talking about fractions of seconds here, right? And then the other thing is Keegan could have helped off Draymond, all right? And those 2 moments, right? We're talking about these 2 moments defensively where if you're just locked in a little tighter, then the buzzer probably goes off and you escape with a win. So, yeah, Davion sometimes off ball, it's not great. And Steph Curry is a menace off ball. We know this.
Yes. And that was exactly like, because you took it to the final play.
Yeah, sorry. Let's go there.
That we're going to go there. And you're exactly right. You look at that last possession with Klay, and it's funny, I was more looking at Keegan than I was looking at Davion.
Davion, he hesitated for a slight second. And maybe it was a second, but a slight moment, whatever that is, fraction of a second. And if he had just been up on him, Klay's not getting to that spot.
Sure. No, exactly. So being locked in a different way when you're off, blah, 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 yes, all those things. He's human. It's going to happen, whatever. But like my thing was Keegan was so good defensively in this game, especially on ball, on Steph Curry, long arms, being active with his hands and everything. To have that moment where it's like a lapse of judgment, where Draymond is so far beyond the arc. Let him shoot that shit if he's going to get the ball.
Yeah, and they did early in the game, and he knocks him down. But it's like, live that. You'll live with that. Let Draymond take the shot. Yeah, exactly. and that's one Keegan as a young player has to learn from. Like, hey, in those moments, that's know your personnel, right? Know what's the score? How much time's left? You have to be. And this is hard. Okay, I'm not saying it's not hard, but we're talking about the finer details now. Where like if Keegan just helps off there, he might have been there maybe to block the shot, let alone just contest it.
It's all of the above. Yes, it's all of the above. It's not even about, look at the amount of times Keegan Murray's long arms contested a shot, disrupted a shot, did something with a shot in that moment. And again, this isn't blaming anyone. No. We're just literally breaking down what went wrong in that final play. And I mean, he can't be mad at himself for it. He has to look at it and go, shit, I can't let that happen late in games. I have to execute late game situations. Again, not the biggest deal in the world, but yes, where you saw the breakdown was right there. Keegan not coming off Draymond even a little bit more. Davion maybe hesitating a little bit there as well. But now, because we talked about that second,
can we just stick with this final play? Because I had one more thing on it. Unless you're going back to Steph, because we will talk about the Steph component too.
I'm going to defense altogether, but proceed.
So the other thing that's interesting, because even with Davion, you know, we talk about if Keegan was there to help, sure. That's the one disadvantage with Davion out there too. You know, when he's in a position to be on Klay, is like Klay's 6'7". You could play great defense and he could shoot over you. But you also it was a tough decision for Brown, and I saw Kevin Huerter when Brown took him out and put Davion in. Kevin was frustrated. I think he looked frustrated, and I think he was frustrated because he was competing tonight. He did a fantastic job out there. Not only defensively, he had some breakdowns too, but I thought he competed well. He was in there getting some tough-ass rebounds. We're talking about back-to-back games from Kevin Huerter where he's getting 7+ rebounds. He had 9 tonight. I loved what he did. But again, this is what you do when the game ends this way. You go, I mean, if you got Huerter in there on Klay, at least he's got the length. You know what I mean? It's just a little things, right? But then again, Davion's one of your best. He's probably your best defender too.
Right. No, I have no problem with that decision making. But you're exactly right. As a player, as a competitor, when you're not being trusted in that moment, it can be frustrating. But it's like, how do you channel that frustration into actually changing that and making sure your coach does trust you? You know, you got to put in the work and try and be someone that your coach can trust late in games. Now, looking at the defense as a whole, may I go there?
Yes, please.
Okay. So looking at the defense as a whole, you saw this end up being a low scoring game. And I think both teams, obviously there was times when shots were not falling or, you know, things weren't working. But I think when you look at the Kings defense and slowing down the Golden State Warriors, it's slowing down Steph Curry and not allowing him to shoot the ball creates so much more chaos for the Golden State Warriors, even though they can sling it, even though they're a good team, even if Steph Curry isn't the only one scoring. But I saw Will Z put on willzstats.com. He had this stat about Steph Curry and just his efficiency against the Sacramento Kings in that 41 piece. But then also he's been the leading scorer, averaging 33 points per game. And the person underneath him is Klay Thompson at 17 points per game. You know, it's a huge jump from your leading scorer all the way to the next leading scorer. So I love that the Kings did a good job of slowing him down. And I think they slowed him down with this team effort.
Yeah. And there's some Warriors fans in our chat right now, which we appreciate, because guess what? We talk more than Kings. We talk NBA too. Like, when we say that Keegan did a good job, we're not saying that Keegan Murray is the Curry stopper now. But what you have to do with Curry is the one thing you have to do with a player like him is throw him different looks. You can't throw him the same looks all the time because he's too smart. He's too good. The one thing Keegan did a good job of was staying in front of him, and the Kings did a good job helping at times. If Keegan was getting beat, Keegan would recover too. But the other thing is Keegan's long and he's able to contest, and he wasn't fouling. You know, he got called for the one foul on the 3-point attempt, but I thought Keegan did a really nice job on him. And the other interesting thing that the Kings did to start the second half, they had Keegan on staff, which, by the way, let's take a step back for a second because this needs to be acknowledged. Last year in the playoffs, the Kings were not putting Keegan on Steph. What the Warriors were doing was, let me find Keegan. Yeah. I'm Steph. We're hunting. Get Keegan on me because I'm going to go to work on him. That wasn't the case tonight. Keegan has shown in the early parts of this season that he has been an improved defender, capable of defending some guards, capable of defending multiple positions, rebounding the basketball well. I love what I'm seeing from him. But the one adjustment that Mike Brown made that I thought was interesting was different. Again, throwing different looks at the smart Warriors team that's able to adjust. They threw in zone for sure, but they also put Davion on Draymond Green. What? And the Warriors at first were like, oh, let's seek that out. That's a mismatch. The Kings were going to live with that because, like, let's make Draymond the scorer. The ball's out of Steph's hands. It's not in Klay's. It's not in CP3. Whoever's in the game, let's get that to Draymond and see what he does there. And to be honest, it mucked up the game. And it also allowed Davion to play off of Draymond a little bit and help with different situations too, right? He's just out over there as a roamer in a way.
He was so much more locked in, like you're saying, like being able to make sure that he was in that help. But not only that, it's like, I was curious if it was more for, okay, if they want Draymond to have a DHO or set an on-ball screen, and they want to make sure that if they have someone else switching on to Steph Curry, it was going to be Davion Mitchell. I'm curious about that. I want Mike Brown to answer that at a practice, if that was kind of the strategy, what they were going for, or if it just was like, no, Davion was playing well on Draymond because Keegan was on Steph, and that we wanted his length on Curry because Curry has struggled with some length before. So yeah, it was an interesting strategy. Throwing some zone at them too was interesting. I like that they just mixed up a whole bunch of things. And
you have to, because some of the passes that Draymond made tonight, absurd. Absurd.
And here's the thing. Not only do you have to, because what the Warriors have can be so special at times on the floor, the way that they can just move that ball around, find Curry, find the off-ball movement, whatever. Now they have another playmaker in Chris Paul who can find the cutter with his eyes closed, so throwing all those defenses in different ways and matchups at this Warriors team, I think disrupted their game a little bit. And that's why you saw what you saw with this Kings team without De'Aaron Fox, who has been a great two-way player to start this season.
Yeah, by the way, Steph tonight had 7 turnovers as well. So that's just an interesting note that the Kings, all right, they threw some different looks. Again, you're not going to stop one of the great players of all time. The guy is, I mean, he's incredible, you know?
Yeah.
But you mentioned Chris Paul. He had 8 assists. Draymond had 9. Looney had 6. It's pretty impressive numbers from those 3 guys from an assist perspective. The most wild stat, you know, the Warriors scored 102 points. This was a relatively low scoring game, especially by today's NBA standards.
Yeah.
The Warriors had 32 assists on 39 made shots. Just incredible
Wow.
passing. I mean,
Wow.
it was a thing of beauty. It really was. I also really was eager to see how this team was going to respond without De'Aaron Fox. And I think overall they did a good job. I think the most striking thing, we spent so much time focusing on the final shot, but to me, where the game might have been lost was the start of the fourth quarter, where it felt like the Warriors' ball pressure increased. They played with much more physicality, and the Kings rely so much on Fox in the fourth quarter and in these moments when the game gets tight, right? He's their guy, and Fox can score in double digits. He's in double digits in the fourth quarter of the last 2 games. He had 21 or whatever against the Warriors on the Kings home opener in the fourth quarter. You know, the guy, he can get his. And in the situation to start the fourth quarter, the Kings started Colby, Malik Monk, Chris Duarte, Sasha, and JaVale McGee. And you think about that lineup for a second. You're talking about some guys that haven't played together a lot. Colby Jones playing his first real NBA minutes, right? In a game like this, in the fourth quarter of a close game. It felt like the Kings couldn't get into their offense, and they didn't get any good shots. It didn't get better. The Kings actually, Morgan, did not hit their first field goal in the fourth quarter. I'm going to make sure this is right. Until the 7:20 mark. That's when Sabonis hit a jumper to tie the game at 83 apiece. Before that, they had only 2 points scored, and it was at the free throw line.
Yeah.
And so did you sense that same thing? It felt like they really missed Fox early in that fourth quarter.
Oh yeah. I mean, they're just their go-to guy,
Yeah.
right? Like having that go-to guy. And I think the Kings all night long did a good job of stepping up for one another. But you look at this league and you look at the importance of having that go-to guy to get you a bucket when you're in need. And everyone's like, you know, we need Malik to step up. We need Sabonis to step up. Like we need these things, but it's just not the same.
Yeah.
It's not as unique as De'Aaron Fox and his ability to not only step up in some of the most clutch times, but also just his ability to just do it so effortlessly. Like that is what they were missing, because even when you don't have the sense of oh, we have that guy, this is effortless, it just it becomes a mental game, and this game becomes a little bit more deflating. And then, oh wow, now we're almost halfway through the quarter and we don't have anyone to just get us a bucket right now.
Yeah,
and
even when they put Malik Monk back in, I thought he was a little sloppy. Like the ball pressure was a factor, and the Warriors have some guys out there defensively that can get after it. They put GP2 on Monk because they're like, well, Fox isn't here. We know Monk can create his own, get to the basket. And Monk had some amazing finishes, hit some big shots. Monk finished with 16 points. Someone in the chat was mentioning this. I'm curious to get your perspective. Did you get the sense watching the game where you going, Malik should have played more? He played just under 25 minutes. Would you have liked to see him play closer to 30?
There was, I guess there's times when I felt that way, like, oh, just keep Malik out there. Why isn't Malik out there more to create, to play make? But I think at times too, he wasn't doing what you would usually expect him to do. I think the Warriors did a good job of frustrating him.
Yeah.
What did he end up with? He ended up with 2 assists, right? And I think for him, it's not just about putting on the numbers and getting those assists. because obviously people can miss shots and you're not going to get those assists. But I think he was looking to be that guy rather than to continue on what he's great at in his role. And he's great at making everyone around him better, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I think Mike probably liked how Davion was playing, especially he was knocking down his shot. He's being a pest defensively. I thought he did a nice job. Davion, by the way, got the start, played just under 30 minutes. He had 13 points. He had 4 assists. He also had 3 steals, 5 of 9 shooting. He knocked down 3 of 6 from downtown. So that was good to see.
Yeah, I was really happy with Davion. Like you mentioned, his 3 steals and doing a little bit of everything. I liked his shot selection, being efficient from not only beyond the arc, but also just like all around. And the 4 assists, that's just something with Davion, you needed him to be that floor manager tonight. And I think he really did a good job of just taking on that role with a different type of confidence. His confidence and his leadership, I feel like, has grown in this last year.
It's going to be tough without Fox. You just hope he's not going to be out too long. And the Kings it's pretty spread out here. You got Saturday, Monday, and then Wednesday against Portland. Why are you shaking your head?
Because I'm not trying to, because it's like, obviously you want Fox to play in every single game. We all do, but this is bound to happen. And if it's going to happen, I'd rather have it happen now this early in the season. So also Mike Brown can look around and see what he has and what he has to work with in units.
He got to look at Colby Jones tonight, and Colby had a really nice first half. It wasn't as great in the second half, but Colby, he just has such a good feel for the game, and it didn't seem like he was rattled at all. He had that really nice block on GP2 at the end of what was that, the third or the second quarter?
I forget, but I remember.
It was the end of the third, because you had that wild sequence. We got the full JaVale McGee experience too, where he was trying to do too much offensively in the final few minutes. But the block JaVale McGee had on Kuminga's dunk attempt was one of the nastiest blocks I've seen.
It was great.
That was disgusting, dude. And then Sasha didn't cap it off with the 3. Oh.
Oh my God.
But then I was going to Colby. Then Colby blocked GP2 at the end of the third quarter. But Colby was just a pest out there, man. And he comes in. He had a nice move on CP3 for a floater. He didn't look. I thought he did a nice job out there as a rook.
He looks NBA ready, which is great. I was telling Mike a whole bunch of times. I'm really excited to see if Colby gets in tonight and what he's going to do and what he's going to do. And I just think these moments for not only where he was picked in the draft, but like also what our expectations are of what he can actually contribute to this roster. That seems like it has some depth. I like it. I like seeing in those moments that he just looks confident out there. He doesn't look rattled. Wait, what happened with Chris Duarte?
Duarte had a rough night tonight. I thought he came out and played some solid defense to start, but I thought he was really chaotic offensively. And I think Mike just had him on a short leash tonight. And when it's not only that, I think other guys were just playing well. It's like, okay, if Davion's playing well, I got to play Monk out there. He's playing well. It's not only Herter missed some shots tonight. He ends up with 11 points, 4 of 11, and he still is not shooting the ball particularly well to start. But if he's going to be out there, he needs to be doing other things. And I thought he represented himself well out there. He had 9 rebounds. He had a couple of nice dimes too, including one of Sabonis that was sweet. So you had to play him. You're playing Colby. There's only so many minutes out there, right? So he was kind of the odd man out tonight.
Yeah, no, I was just curious if there was like something more and like that I missed but I think you're right. I think being the odd man out, but also Mike Brown liking what he saw from Colby Jones at times when they're both out there, I totally I'm like, wait, Colby, Chris?
Yeah.
Who?
It's kind of similar size, similar hair.
Yep. So no, I am happy though that Colby got those minutes, got that opportunity. And I know we'll look ahead in a little bit, but like, again, you're with De'Aaron trying to recover, let's say, like you're going on and taking on a Houston Rockets team that just got their first win tonight. So we'll talk about that more coming up.
I do have a quote from Brendan Nunez real fast, Morgan.
What?
What was it? What happened? Are you okay? Did you just get scared by someone?
No, this hanger randomly fell.
It's okay. I mean, is the hanger gonna start crawling toward you and grab you and kill you? Like,
Okay,
like
so
what's
like,
what's
just
wrong?
because
It's
I get
just.
scared about things, like you're supposed to.
Oh my
I don't
God.
know, be a teammate and make
Oh
me
my
feel
God,
better.
Morgan! This coaster just dropped.
Okay.
Shit! What am I gonna do?
What a dick! What a dick!
Okay. The hanger dropped. Oh no, Morgan! Call someone.
Dude, also, like, you be alone in a studio at night. Like, get out of here.
All right, can I get to the Mike Brown quote?
Yeah.
This is Mike Brown deciding to put Keegan on Steph Curry. He says, "We haven't been able to do anything with Steph. Keegan is growing a lot on both ends of the floor. Let's see if we can throw some length on him. You're not going to stop a Hall of Famer like Steph, but you got to make him work for it." And I thought Keegan did. Huh. Was that Coach Brown or Deuce and Mo? I mean, that's what we said in the first 10 minutes tonight, huh? Good job, Mo.
Good job, Coach Deuce.
The other thing I think we should talk about,
Yeah.
I want to give some love to Sabonis.
Oh, yes.
Sabonis was not good in that series against the Warriors. He wasn't his typical self, and he didn't get a lot of help. We know that. Like, hey, 3/5 of the starting lineup didn't help either. Herter wasn't knocking down shots. Barnes wasn't. Keegan wasn't to start the series, blah, blah, blah. But he came out aggressive tonight. I got frustrated at one point in the first half with him because I felt like he was hesitating on the mid-range shot. And it's like, if you're open from three, I want you to shoot it. I don't care. Like, he needs to be able to shoot it with confidence. He did in the later stages. I think he ended up 3 for 3 on kind of mid-range shots tonight, which is a huge plus. And I thought he played with physicality. I mean, he worked Looney a few times tonight, just playing physical. And they play physical back. You know, Draymond slapping down on him. He's bumping him. Looney's tugging on his jersey. Like,
Yeah.
they're doing everything they can to slow him down, especially with, you know, Fox not being in the lineup for Sacramento. Sabonis finished with 23 points, 11 rebounds, and 8 assists on 8 of 16 shooting. He did take a three. He missed it. The worst part of his game was at the free throw line where he was 7 of 12. To his credit, he did hit 2 big ones late in the game that I was really worried about. But I thought Sabonis had a really strong game. And I like him playing. I want to see more aggressiveness from him offensively. And when I say that, it's looking for his sometimes because he's a strong dude. And he will play physical. He doesn't give a shit. And I liked what he did tonight. What jumped out to you?
Well, I definitely hope he's our player of the game, one. But
I don't know. I'll have to talk to our guy. Let's see our graphics guy. Hey, can you hit the graphic for player of the game?
hit the Oh!
Yes, our rock and soul player of the game, Domantas Sabonis. He had 23 points, 11 rebounds, 8 dimes, as I mentioned. Our rock and soul player of the game. You guys have to go to Rock and Soul. I'm actually going to go there Friday. They have breakfast served all day. That means you get a breakfast for dinner. Morgan, breakfast for dinner. Breakfast for dinner. Open at 8 a.m. daily. Friday and Saturday, the kitchen's open till midnight. And they have nightly specials for every Kings game. 14 TVs, free parking, located at 1825 10th Street on the corner of 10th and S. I did the math. That's 1, 2, 3. 6 blocks away from Golden One Center. You got to go there, Rock and Soul Diner. You got to support local. They support us. You support them. Good food, breakfast all day. That's a win-win. Our Rock and Soul player of the game, Domantas Sabonis.
It's such a cute place. Domas.
Yeah.
And being our player of the game. Also, Nick Avila texted me, said Sabonis has recorded his 4th straight game with at least 10 points and 10 rebounds and 5 assists to begin this season. I mean, you know, I think even in some games when we're like, oh, he didn't play his best, you can look at his stat line and go, okay, he's contributing, right? We just have high expectations for this guy. And you talk about his toughness. And it's like, there's moments where I'm like, oh, he can't get through one extra guy. And he's just getting arms thrown at him. He's getting beaten down and he's still staying physical. And I think it's interesting because I was on our post-game show with Mike Bibby. I was starting to talk about Sabonis and how great he is. And then I was just mentioning, man, in that 0 for 1 from 3-point land, I'm just so glad that he's only taken that 1-3. You know, he's open for a reason. And I'm like, it sounds like I'm talking shit about him shooting threes, and then we had to go to break. So I didn't get to praise him enough. And so I want to make sure I know. And it made me feel like shit. I was like, no. So I want to make sure I praise him enough here because when I think he is open for a reason at times, but I think it's also very important. He's super selective with his 3-point shot because it's not bad. It's just
he shot
better.
it. His percentage was good last year, and I don't need him shooting 6 a game.
Right. Wait. And my whole point to this is it's the mechanics and the technique. And I really want him to be shooting that 3 when he's trailing down in transition or in early offense, or when he is just making sure that he is all in one motion. I think it's all about the rhythm of that 3-point shot for him. So when he's just standing there, it's like, okay, can you be better at maybe using more of your legs, doing whatever? There's just something different that he needs to do a better job of when he's shooting that 3 and becoming more of a threat. But besides that, I love seeing some of his outside shots. I love seeing the way that he knocked down that bank elbow shot, especially it being such a dreadful shot for him in that postseason. And you know what I love too, is that when he missed those 2 free throws, Warriors fans, you can just tell, hate the shit out of him. They hate him. And there's something about that I love, because I'm like, that's how I feel about Draymond at times. And that's how you know there's just something building between these two teams. So yeah, Sabonis, another big game for him. I love the way that he just stays physical and strong throughout an entire freaking game, that he is just getting just arms and bodies thrown at him.
I do want to get to some comments, Morgan, and there's some other guys I want to mention too. I was just looking back at my notes. You know, this was a night where Steph Curry led the Warriors in scoring with 21, but the next leading scorer for them was Saric. And I thought Saric had some really nice moments, hitting some big time threes. And, you know, talk about a guy who could be a real difference maker with them. It's something they lack since losing Bielitsa, is having a guy with some size who can shoot it from the outside, and you can't leave him open. The Kings left him open a couple of times tonight. He ends up with 15 points on 6 and 9. He also had 6 rebounds in the game.
Dude, I was wondering, it was funny, like before the game, I'm like, wait, who's coming in? When Looney started getting those early fouls, I'm like, wait, Trace Jackson, who? And then I'm like, oh no, it's Sarge. And it was funny, I was talking to Mike Bibby about him, and I was telling him how like how to pronounce his name and everything.
Saric. I messed it up too, huh? Saric.
It's okay.
My bad.
It's tough. It's tough. But I was like talking, and he's like, well, there's no way we're talking about him after the game. And I'm like, oh, don't be surprised. I wasn't expecting this type of game from him. But like you said, he stepped up big for the Warriors.
In the chat, Attitude Era Mark. Shout out to the Attitude Era, by the way, Morgan. Were you an Attitude Era fan?
Suck it. Is that it?
I mean, it is. I did not expect you to actually know it, and without hesitation, you dropped a suck it on Attitude Era Mark. He says, you guys don't want to hear this, but the Kings blew this one. Once Golden State went small with 3 guards, they should have worked the paint. They settled until 3 minutes left. They blew it. Yeah, I mean, when Golden State took Wiggins out, I mean, I just felt like their ball pressure was so good. The Kings just looked chaotic, and I think that's really a product of being without their guy and De'Aaron Fox. And that has to get better, especially if they're going to play without him. They got to figure out ways to do that. I thought like they eventually did start attacking the paint more and had some success. I mean, I thought Herter had a really nice move off the dribble. Yeah, it was a 2-man game with Sabonis. I'm looking back at my notes. It was 95-92. And then Monk blew by GP2 for a score. It was a tough score. I won't say blow by. GP2 was with him, but Monk got a step on him and scored to make it 97-94 with a minute 45. Then Sabonis scored 99-96. Just crazy sequences for sure. And then like Monk had an attack that Draymond blocked the shit out of him late in the shot clock, 2.1 the shot clock. And then Klay stripped Harrison Barnes. Like the Warriors defense was really, really good down the stretch.
It was. And one other thing I did want to mention, because you mentioned that block on Malik,
Yeah.
and then the other moment when it was that shot clock violation, there was a few where the shot clock was winding down, and it was like, like you said, the Warriors were doing a good job of pressuring the Kings. But that shot clock violation, what pissed me off so bad about that is that nobody was screaming at Malik. That is when your teammates, I saw Colby there. I'm like, Colby's a rookie, like those are the moments you got to learn. You better be screaming at your teammate, 3 seconds, like whatever it is. So at least he can jack it up and try and hit the rim.
I'm reading the chat, Morgan, so I didn't hear your last part. I'm just going to be honest with you because I feel like I just need to be transparent. Sorry.
Oh,
can I be honest? There's just, I'm trying to you know how I care about the people in the chat. We have a live chat going on, and we like to acknowledge. No, Morgan, just hear me out, please. Please, just be a good teammate. Be a good teammate for a goddamn second, Morgan. I pay attention to chat because I like to reference things. I like to see how things are going. And there's a few Warriors fans tonight, which I welcome. Please, we love talking basketball. We love talking basketball. We're not like hot take people. We just talk about the game, what we liked, what we didn't like. We're not homers. We talk about the Kings, good, bad. We talk about the other team, good, bad. And they're like, 5 rings. Steph's gonna play 6 more years. It's like constant trolling. And so I just wanted to, I want to give a slight warning. And right when I was done with the warning, you ended your point, and I realized I didn't hear the end of it. So I wanted to say sorry to you, and that's what I did.
well, we'll go from here. I appreciate the transparency. I appreciate the apology. But what I'm going to say right now, if it's a 14-year-old kid, let him be.
You're right. But it's not. It's again. It's
and
not.
Now,
Can I just say,
a 50-year-old man, then what is he doing?
Just real fast though.
What?
It's more because I was caring about the people in the chat chatting. They're just trying to have a conversation about the game, and then we got people, 5 rings, Steph Curry, go. It's like, dude, we've given Steph a lot of love here.
I have a question for any parent out there. When your kid's annoying, don't you just ignore them? Like, isn't that what isn't that like the parenting? Ignore the kid.
Yeah.
Ignore the kid.
God of Disco in the chat says, we aren't homers. Yo, I come on. Oh, he says, yo, come on. I love y'all, but you're definitely homers. Haha. I'm a Sixers homer. It's okay. I mean, I guess what I mean by that is obviously we want the Kings to win. So I guess that makes us homers. But I mean, we're not afraid to say, this was messed up tonight. This was wrong tonight. This was a messed up play.
Or give love to the other. I mean, we just love, we're basketball homers.
Yeah, we're back.
We're basketball homers that grew up in Sacramento. So
I want to look back at the rest of my notes to see if there's anything else we should be talking about. Oh, I just want to focus on Keegan for a second. So Keegan is struggling to start the year, Morgan.
Let's talk about it.
Keegan Murray, and when I say struggling, it's with a shot, which is a little surprising because he's been such a good shooter, right? But remember, he had the thumb soreness. He missed a preseason game, and now he's got the wrap on his right hand. He's had a hand issue. It's wrapped. To me, if you're a wrap in your hand, there's something going on there. And tonight, it felt like, I don't know, some of his stuff was short. Some of it, he was fading, whatever. He ends up 4 of 15 in this game. He was 0 for 7 from downtown. Against the Lakers, he was 6 of 14, 3 of 9 from downtown. Against the Warriors in the home opener, 6 of 16, 3 of 11 from downtown. And against the Utah Jazz in that opener in Salt Lake City, he was 5 of 13, 4 of 9 from 3. So I don't know. I guess my question is, based on his shooting numbers, sample size, it's 4 games. The Kings are 2-2. Do you think the hand is impacting him at all at this point, just with his shot?
Well, here's another angle. I don't think he's going to be as efficient this season because he is going to be taking so many more shots. He's going to be be a lot more aggressive, and which means he's going to miss a lot more shots. He literally was about to be taken out of a game because he didn't take a 3 and then made a 3 on the next possession down and said F you to Mike Brown. You know what I mean? So I think we are going to see a change in his numbers because his style is going to change and be a little bit more aggressive.
Maybe. I don't know if I agree with that, but they're not going to be in the 30%.
Wait. Hi. Nope. Stop. But that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying it's an angle. I'm just saying it's something to look at as well. But right now, what we are seeing is him. Yeah, it's not looking pretty, necessarily when it comes to his efficiency with his shooting. I think, like on a night like this, when you're going 0 for 7, Mike Brown is going to tell him to keep shooting.
Yes.
But at the same time, I'm like Mike Bibby kept saying, it's get that layup, get that first shot in.
I'm glad you brought that up, because what did he do to start the third quarter?
What did he do?
He had that in and out dribble on Klay and finished with the floater. It was beautiful. Just destroyed Klay in that situation. Then he had a smart play where, look, Steph's guarding you, okay? If you got the ball, you got to make something happen, okay? He had Steph on him, turn around, fadeaway jumper, bucket. And I'm like, good, get the little in-between game. So that was really good to see. And speaking of post, the one play that kind of irritated me tonight, HB, it was in the fourth quarter, Harrison Barnes, who did hit some big shots too, but Harrison Barnes had Chris Paul defending him in the post. And that ball cannot be turned over. It can't be turned over. I've seen Harrison Barnes score in the situation, draw a foul, and that was not a good sequence for him.
I would need to see that play again. It felt like the Draymond came across the arm on Sabonis, like the possession before, and then it felt like that Chris Paul play happened. And I'm like,
it doesn't matter, because I hear what you're saying, because was Chris Paul physical on that play? Yes, he was. But Harrison needed to be the aggressor. He's in the post. I know Chris Paul is a stronger dude.
Fair.
But put your ass into it, okay?
Yep.
I don't need you being straight up with awesome posture, all right? Put your ass into it, make a move, back him down a little bit, have a turnaround jumper, or kick it out, get the ball moving around. You cannot turn the ball over in that situation.
Well, and you talk about even a turnaround jumper. You're right. He has the size advantage. And it's like if you are afraid of Chris Paul pulling some antics where he's going to fling his body back and get the call, because we see that happen a lot, and he's very good at it. And there's times when it's like, God, that's good. And then there's times it's like, Chris, get up. Like, what are you doing?
And I felt like that was a bit of a swing play, although the Kings ended up getting back into the game. It was like 3.5 to go. And then, so that was a turnover. It was a missed 3. And then because the Kings were, not back all the way, Looney offensive rebound put back in. The Warriors went up 3, 92-89.
I think you're right. I would have liked to see, like, if he wasn't going to back him all the way down, which I would have loved, but I would have been worried too that Chris Paul was going to pull something. I would have done a little turnaround jumper. I mean, like we said, you have the length, you have the size advantage, and your shot is pretty. And you started making your outside shots. Who's to say that you weren't going to make a turnaround jumper on Chris Paul guarding you?
Kings lose this one, 102-101. We should mention that tonight's podcast, Morgan Reagan, is of course presented by our friends over at Northwest Exteriors, and their website is northwestexteriors.com. Morgan, tell me about your Northwest experience and why others should go to them for their windows.
It's life-changing. I was just talking about this with my mom today, going, my house used to feel like I was camping when I would wake up in the winter. And I'm not exaggerating or joking when I say this. And then I said to her, why didn't I think about changing the windows earlier? And the reason for me was I always thought it's going to be too expensive. It's going to be too expensive. When really you get the quote and you realize, like, oh, this is doable, or oh, this is doable on half the house. They're very flexible with whatever you need. And not only is it going to help the electric bill, it's also helping the aesthetics of the home. I'm just so happy with everything that Northwest did for me.
So are you saying that people should go to their showroom in Rancho Cordova and check it out themselves?
Yes. And if you're not going there, that's on you. I told you to go there. I told you can change your life. Don't be intimidated. Go there.
Are you also saying they're just simply the best?
Simply the best. Trust Northwest.
Yes.
I like the slight delay because you're on location. We're also presented by our friends over at Sharif Jewelers. Morgan, Sharif Jewelers has been around forever. We're talking about since the early 80s in Sacramento, and you're talking about an iconic Sacramento brand. you will find a member of their family in every one of their locations, and it has that family feel. You don't need to be intimidated when you go to Sharif Jewelers.
No, again, another wonderful. My favorite part about like all of our sponsors is that they're all local.
Yep.
And I think what's so great is that you really get a feel about who they are as people. And Sharif Jewelers, amazing people, amazing family, iconic place that has been in Sacramento for so long. And I always thought, oh, jewelry, it's all about just an engagement ring. They have so many other things. Again, for someone like me that needs help with jewelry, I can go there and get anything I need, whether it's a hoop earring, a dainty bracelet, or a watch. So make sure if you're looking for anything to go check out Sharif Jewelers.
It's November 1st. The holiday season is here. This is the time to start thinking about things. Maybe an engagement ring, huh? Just check it out. Go to Sharif Jewelers today. All right, Morgan Reagan, any other final thoughts on this particular game before we move on? Have we missed anything besides the poll question?
Besides the poll question, let me just check. No, I think we pretty much got everything. I feel like there's a really good team effort from this King squad. You had 6 guys score in double figures, and that alone with Fox being out, I was happy with. Just wish they could have pulled out a W.
I do want to mention Sasha for a second. I know he was 1 of 6. He played 17 minutes, but again, he's just a really good rebounder. He had 5 rebounds. The other thing, he's kind of the king of deflections. This guy gets his hand on the ball, man. He's active. And for all maybe of his shortcomings athletically, he moves well. He's in the right spots. He understands the game. Shout out Ali with his Deuce and Mo hoodie jumping into the picture just now. But Morgan, I felt like Sasha. I wish we had deflections on the final box score, but he had some nice moments tonight. His shot didn't fall. He had a floater that got called for a charge, but it was a really weird looking floater. He was just 1 of 5, but where's his final numbers in this one? Had 2 points. He had 5 fouls in that stretch, but I want to say he had like 2 or 3 deflections.
Yeah, no, I again, that's why Sasha, you're still seeing Sasha with 17 minutes. You're still seeing the game. He's trying to still get the pace of the game, the NBA game under his belt a little bit. And what I like is that we're seeing a little bit more and more out of him. I know we want this, just this offensive weapon out of him. We want him to make every single 3 and be surprised when he misses shots. But at the same time, it's about getting everything to come together and understanding the pace and being able to have enough energy and strength on the offensive side to make sure that he can shoot the same shot that he was shooting.
I like him. Good teammate too.
Yep.
Seems like he encourages guys. Will get on guys. Agreed. Good cutter. Yeah, he had some nice deflections in this game tonight. I'm trying to think of anyone else we didn't really highlight. Davion, we kind of skated over him for a second, but literally, I just felt like running the team. This is a big opportunity for him, and I think as the season goes on, you know, without Fox here, at least for the moment, it's going to mean a lot for Davion Mitchell. It's going to mean a lot for someone like Keegan Murray to get an increased offensive role on this team. Malik Monk, Colby Jones, but for Davion, who got off to a slow start, for him to come in tonight, knock down some shots, play aggressive. He had one play that jumped out to me where he over dribbled, but for the most part, I thought he did a really nice job.
Yeah, and by the way, we did not roll over him because I said most of those things with him being a poor manager out there tonight and everything, but I appreciate you wanting to give him some extra love.
Well, the Kings fall to 2-2. They got a couple of games coming up. The Warriors are 4-1 now, by the way. So a nice stretch for them where they beat Sacramento, then they beat the Houston Rockets, they beat the Pelicans, and they come back home after that road trip to beat the Kings. And you see the skill level out there, Morgan. I mean, they're gonna be good. They're not perfect, I don't think, but Chris Paul definitely helps, especially with that second unit. I think Saric is a nice pickup. Moody has shown more flashes recently. Curry's still ridiculous.
I truly believe like they're a team that you cannot count out as long as you have Steph Curry. I know we keep talking about age and these things to slow them down and everything. And I know they're not going to win all of these games, coming when I say it like that, of course now they will. But my point is, it's like, it's hard to win like this in the NBA all the time, but they look like a team that can play together really well. They look a little bit more together than last year, I'm sure, without Jordan Poole, his chaotic nature, what Draymond did to him, all of that kind of being out of the picture too is helpful. Chris Paul buying into his coming off the bench role and then being just a point guard, a wizard at that position, them being able to execute with the small ball lineup, like even that alone for them, we saw success with that with the Kings and Trey Lyles, and you might see more of that with the Golden State Warriors. They're going to be tough to beat in the Western Conference, and just don't ever count them out with Steph Curry on their squad.
Well, next up for the Kings, they take on the Houston Rockets. That game is Saturday in Houston. They also play them Monday in Houston. The Rockets got their first win tonight. They were 0-3, I believe, coming into tonight's game. They beat the Hornets 128-119. Fred VanVleet's now on that squad. He had 22 points, 11 assists. Jalen Green had 23 points. Dylan Brooks dropped 20 on 7 of 9. The Hornets play no defense, by the way. This Hornets, Steve Clifford's got, if he had hair, he'd be tearing it out, but he's bald. The Rockets definitely, I think, are improved. I know they got their first win tonight, but I think they should. I think they have more grown-ups in the room. I still don't think they're a great team, obviously. I don't think you can just count on slapping them around. You have to go in locked in like you were tonight. If Sacramento, just go take care of business the next two. This is what a good team would do is go, we're going to dust ourselves off, and we know we're shorthanded. We're not taking them lightly. We're going to go in there playing that engaged defense and go beat that team.
But here's the thing. Whenever we say something like that, I go, I don't doubt this team for a second. Show me something to doubt with that type of mentality, and then I'll be judging them on that. But I think like they all buy into Mike Brown and what needs to get done. And, Mike even mentioned on tonight's post-game show, or he was talking about it off air and then talked about it a little bit on air. And that was just like, Houston was a good city to roll through. Like he enjoyed Houston. The NBA guys enjoy
James
Houston.
Harden likes going to Houston.
I mean, there's different reasons why people enjoy Houston in late nights. And Mike's just like, just get to bed and do your thing. And I think for the most part, you have so many professionals on this that like you might get the Miami flu when you're taking on the Heat or something, or maybe when you're in LA. But I feel like for the most part, like they're not the type of crew that is like, I want to go live it up in every single city. They know what's at hand. And I think their playing time and the pride they take in that and what they can do as a team is more important at times. And I could be wrong. I could be naive to everyone and everyone, you know what I mean?
Well, with or without Fox, without Fox, I still think the next 3 games are games you should win. You should beat the Rockets twice. And then you come back home Wednesday. I know it's coming off a road trip, but it's a mini road trip. You beat the Blazers at home. And then that Friday, you get ready for your first NBA Cup game, baby, with Oklahoma City in town on a Friday night. How crazy is that? I'm
excited for that. I know my our producer, Anthony, was like, do you get up for like this in-season tournament stuff? And I was like, I'm excited about it until it shows me that I shouldn't be excited about it. It's kind of like the play-in, like where I was like, well, it could work. And then it did end up working. And he's like, I'm still out on it. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to rub it in your face if you're wrong, because in my eyes, it does give just a different element to a long NBA season.
Yeah.
And you see football, European football do things like this, and they have different things and elements that factor into it, but maybe this is something that can evolve over time and become something important.
It's the first year of it.
Right.
Why not try something different? I'm all for it. I'm all for the NBA Cup. Let's have some fun with it. But yeah, look, Kings are 2-2. I think all the games have been pretty damn entertaining. I mean, they've hurt, right? But
yeah.
All 4 games, the game against Utah, you smacked them around. You lost your home opener to the Warriors. Steph's ridiculous. You beat the Lakers in overtime with Sabonis fouled out and Fox getting hurt. And then tonight, you hung in there without De'Aaron Fox and had a chance to win. You tip your cap and go, oh, good job, Klay Thompson. You hit that bucket at the end of the game. I think one of my big takeaways as we end this, I think the Kings are a better defensive team than they were last year. And
Yes.
I'm not saying they're locked down by any means, but I said my goal before the season for this group is, can they get to top 15? Can they just be average? I'm seeing more signs, even with this specific group, that can be done. Now, does Monty need to keep pushing to go take a swing and get someone that can maybe elevate that higher? Sure. But I think this group right now has enough to really be a good team this year.
Yeah, and I think a night like tonight, you got to see it, and that's what I do love. I know we keep talking about like, why do you play the Warriors so many times? But they get up for these games, and I hope that they get up for the other games, even if it is against the Houston Rockets, even if it is against the Portland Trail Blazers. You got to make sure you play like this, because that is how you build and get better off of this type of defense.
I want to get to our poll question before we go. How are you feeling about the loss? The options: should have won, tough one, loved how they competed, and sick of playing the Warriors. 42% of people say tough one, loved how they competed. 35% say should have won, and then 23% say sick of playing the Warriors. So that's the poll tonight.
I would have picked sick of playing the Warriors as my choice.
Yes. Is that your choice?
That is 100%.
I think I went back and forth on all three of them, to be honest. I should have just done D, all of the above. That should have been the other option. I want to get to a couple comments before we go, Morgan. Let's see here. God, there was one that was jumping around now. Jimbo says, y'all should just eat some chocolate and chill. You'll win plenty with this team. That sounds good to me.
Oh, I
Sounds
like
really good.
Chocolate and chill.
The Kings did make a trade today. We didn't mention that.
Oh yeah.
Philip,
Why didn't we do an emergency podcast for this?
they made a trade today where they acquired Philip Petrusev.
Wow,
Petrusev?
good job.
I don't know. I don't say good job. I don't know. He's a big guy. Went to Gonzaga. And basically the Kings got him from the Clippers. He was just with the Sixers, involved with the Harden trade. They send him to Sacramento. The Kings get cash back in the deal, which would literally just allow them to pay for his contract. Like, he fills the last roster spot. I imagine he'll get some run in Stockton. We'll see. And if it doesn't work out, well, you just got some cash from the Clippers. So you're basically getting a free look at a guy, a guy that's close to 7 feet, I believe. Good size.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Can
7 feet.
shoot. I don't know. Take a look at him.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pretend to be an expert. I watched some summer league stuff earlier, but that was the other thing.
I watched like a couple highlights of it just to kind of get a feel, and I was like, okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, someone in chat says, talk about him. I wish I had more for you. I didn't have time to do a deep dive, but maybe later for sure.
Maybe tomorrow, even if after my big commercial shoot.
Yeah, good luck with you. Good luck to you. Good luck. All right. Someone is accusing me of drinking box wine during the pod. I do not have box wine either, but we
Did
appreciate you
anyone
guys.
say that? Good luck to you. Deuce did not give a shit about anything I just had to say.
Okay. I just turned you down if you're going to be like that. I don't care about your commercial. I'm just kidding. Before we go, make sure you hit the thumbs up button. Make sure you're subscribed. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us, even after a Kings loss. You guys are the absolute best. We love you guys, but we got to go.
You're all badass for being here. I'll be back with Deuce in studio on Saturday.
Will you?
The game. Yeah, because it's an early game.
Oh, that's a good point. Early game in studio. Can't wait.
Can't wait. We'll see you guys then. Bye.
Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo.